wow, Ole Miss bought another player? Who would have thought? I guess Kiffin really can suck at high school recruiting and just go buy them in the portal every year. Not a bad strategy. Going to be funny when it backfires on y'all next year, though. Southern Miss fan, by the way. Okay. I mean, that's one way to look at it. It is certainly one way to look at it.
It definitely is. There has been a lot of, I said this on Twitter over the weekend, because you do have the, well, who's bankrolling their NIL? How are they able to afford this? Stuff like that. And then, of course, the mind-numbingly stupid, quote, rumor, end quote, that they have taken out loans to pay these players. I really want you, an adult that pays taxes and, like, has to go to the bank. So presumably you have bank accounts, right? And you work for a company, you may own one. Think to yourself before you go to the internet and talk about taking out loans for NIL. What bank would give a loan to a collective whose only income is based on donations, and their business model is to take those donations and give them to college football players? Please tell me what bank would give that loan. Think about these things before you ask or talk about them, because it's so remarkably stupid. But anyway, why are people so surprised, Richard, when a Southern university that deeply cares about football, with 26,000 students, undergrads, that has a law school, a medical school, an accounting school, and a business school, and an engineering school, would have wealthy alumni willing to pay to get good football players? Why does that surprise people? I don't understand it. They're like,
well, it's because of who it is, and because Ole Miss is. Look, all right. Ole Miss and Missouri are these two don't look like everybody else in terms of success in recruiting through the transfer portal. People are used to it with Alabama and with Auburn and with Georgia and with LSU and with Tennessee. And the list goes on, and Ohio State and Michigan and Florida State and Texas and whoever else, and Texas A&M, whoever else you want to include. But, I mean, Ole Miss has consistently recruited at the top 20 to top 25 level for a pretty extended period of time. Now, there have been outliers, right? There's a top 10 class mixed in there in 2013, and maybe there's one or two that's been in the 30s along the way. But generally speaking, Ole Miss is going to be in the 15 to 22 range when recruiting rankings come out. And that's usually good enough for about 9th or 10th in the SEC. But it looks different now. And people that cheer for programs that are, for being honest, similar in terms of their on-field success, they don't like it when a non-traditional power does something like that. Or if they're a rival, don't like it either. But the reason I brought up Missouri a second ago, they've done it again too.
Mm-hmm.
Just popped. Former Florida defensive lineman Chris McClellan has committed to Missouri. 6'4", 320, Tulsa, Oklahoma, 2 years of eligibility remaining.
Missouri's killing it. I mean, they and Ole Miss are so similar in that they have fan bases that are clearly united in what it takes to win. And because of that, they're successful.
All right, so there's a response to that tweet from an Oklahoma fan that says Mizzou going all in next year, and honestly, I don't blame them. They'll have as good of a team as they've had in a while and maybe have for a while. You could change Mizzou to Ole Miss. The exact same tweet has been typed in 100 times, if not 10,000 times.
Yeah.
And you've heard it from, Lane Kiffin hasn't said that per se, but a lot of other people have. Ole Miss is going all in. They've got the right mix of guys returning, high school recruiting, pieces to add, 12-team playoff, engaged fan base, competitive NIL, all that stuff. And John says the better you get, the stronger you get. the more you are a target of trolls. It's a good sign, but will only get worse. Have to embrace it. Let's go. That's John, an Ole Miss fan. Here's the other thing. The better you get and the more you win, the more people are willing to continue to do the things that led to that winning.
Yeah.
And so while everybody says Ole Miss is pushing all its chips in, here's the opportunity for the Rebels next season. If it goes well next season, and this, air quotes, investment paid off, are you going to be remotely surprised if Ole Miss tries to do the same thing all over again?
No.
And maybe ups it?
Winning is intoxicating, especially when you can control it more than you've ever been able to. And, I mean, to the texter that sparked this conversation, I mean, so what if 2025 isn't as good as 2024? Who cares right now? Why do you deal with 2025 after the 2024 season ends? And if it doesn't go as well, that's fine, great. And especially when you've got all of these things, who knows what the future of college football is going to be? You know right now, even if it's not right, like I don't think fans should have to crowdfund the salaries of players, but that is what's going on. And to Missouri and Louisville and Ole Miss's credit, their fans appear to be aligned in the do whatever, take my money, go win, please. And that's not the case in other places. But that's how it is right now. But you've got the head of the NCAA with his ridiculous proposal out there that won't work, but it's out there. You've got Congress getting involved. You've got conferences, realignment and movement and commissioners subtly and not so subtly talking about getting a control over this. And there's so much movement. And who knows what the rules are going to be in 2025 or 26 or 27. So why would you even consider sacrificing the now for the later when you have no idea what the later is going to be? Going all in, if that's exactly if they're draining the funds, which I don't think that's what they're doing, but if they are, good. Because by 2025, you might have television deal revenue sharing and the collectives won't even exist anymore. That's what Ross Dellinger thinks is going to happen. You think anybody's as clued in on what's going on than him? So why protect a future that is so uncertain? Go for it. Go win and change the narratives. And watching Florida, because that's everybody's favorite example is, well, why would a player want to go play for Missouri instead of Florida? Because Missouri's better than Florida right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple. Tim Tebow's Heisman Trophy or Urban Meyer's national championship in 2007, the player that you're talking about was 4? It doesn't matter anymore. Missouri's better today. Missouri's more attractive today. That's why. Everything has changed. It's flipped on its head. And until they get it under control, this is what it takes to win.
I want to get that message. What is going to be the solution to all of this? It's crazy. But what if I threw a question back at you? What if I said, do we need a solution to all of this? I mean, what's the real problem with what's going on right now? Now, if your genuine focus is on academics and you believe that it's really hard for kids to advance toward a degree while bouncing from school to school to school, okay, I'll listen to that. But if it's just the kids are getting paid, this isn't sustainable, are we sure? But because the only thing that I see right now that's different is more teams than traditionally have been are in the mix to be competitive for the playoff and a national title. And kids are getting paid. Television numbers are up. Stadium attendance was good this year. So what is the concern when you say what is going to be the solution to all of this? I mean, what if it just continues as is? I'm not sure that the unlimited transfer thing is the best plan. I don't know that that is a good thing for college football. I just don't know that it's that big of an issue that we've got right now. Sports Talk